In 2012, I had a chance to buy a home in Detroit for $1. Yes, that's $1. And I passed. It all started with a YouTube video I watched, and of course it became a national story. You can find this on the internet anywhere. I told Robert Kiyosaki, let's go to Detroit and check this out. Might as well. For no other reason, it'd be a great experience just to go check out real estate in another market. So we flew to Detroit and we realized that there wasn't just one house for $1. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of these houses that were for sale for $1. So why would anybody in their right mind turn that down? Well, I'll tell you. Because in real estate, price is not the deal. And this is what a lot of new people get caught up in. When you buy real estate, you buy for cash flow and you buy for location. And there's a lot of things that are involved in that recipe. First, let's talk about what really happened in Detroit and why sometimes, even when it might appear that the very best deals might be for $1, why it might be just better for you to pass. So some of the best deals that you could make are no deal at all. So there's lots of reasons why the city of Detroit went into decline, but primarily because the auto industry got exported to other countries and other places. So in the height, Detroit was the 5th largest city in the country, and it lost well over 1 million people as a result of some of that manufacturing leaving the area. In fact, the city itself filed for bankruptcy in 2013. But before that, people have been leaving in droves because what happens is you have to have a solid base of employment in an area that people want to go. Or, of course, in retirement, has to be a desirable place for everyone to live. So when the money disappears, real estate becomes deteriorated. There's less of a tax base. There's less money to fund things like fire and police, and crime starts to step up. And all of that stuff was certainly in place during our visit in 2012. So when we went, we quickly realized that there were no jobs. The neighborhoods were in big trouble. The houses to the right, the houses to the left, they were in also very, very bad condition. What we found is the Detroit Land Bank Authority was actually in charge of many of these homes, and they had certain rules around them, which is fine, but here were the rules. Number one, you had to live in the property for 3 years, and there's no way. Not only would I not move there, but no tenants are gonna move there either, based on what we found. It was basically a war zone. 2, you had to bring it up to code on your dime. And of course, that could be $20, $30, $40, even $50,000. So you buy it for $1, you're really stepping into a liability. And the last thing, as you guys all know, we don't want to catch a falling knife here, because what they're really doing is giving the house away for free so that you fix it up. And then they can start getting taxes again. This is all about income for the city. And 3, you had to do all of this inside of 6 months, or you risk losing it all. So if you can just imagine, entire blocks were empty and there was crime, so people were squatting and living in these things. So can you imagine trying to fix up something, have it rented, and then having to battle the neighborhood? As I always say, you can fix a house, but you can't fix a neighborhood. And this is exactly what was going on. Neighborhood after neighborhood were in horrible condition. And the last thing you want to do is try to buy an investment inside of that. Years ago, one of the Phoenix mayors said, we're going to designate the 10 worst landlords in the city. And they did. They actually posted it. They said, these are the worst 10 properties in the city. So I went to the mayor's office and I said, I'll buy all of them. Because I said, I'll just clean this up. And it would be a good political move, one for the city, but also I knew how to clean up properties and I knew I was going to get them at a really good price. But then I went to him and I came back to him later and I said, you can buy the property and fix it up and spend a lot of money, but you can't change the neighborhood. I would have been fixing and repairing properties, but there was crime and drug use and all that stuff in the blocks around me. So I would have never been able to attract tenants. It would have been good money after bad if I would have moved forward with that. So I backed away from the whole project because what you really need is for the whole neighborhood to change. And this is exactly what happened in Detroit. Anybody in real estate knows that a cheap house in real estate is rarely a good deal. So in this example, I could have bought a house for $1, but you're inheriting another $40,000 of additional work in a neighborhood where there's no comps, no jobs, and no tenants. And all to benefit the city of Detroit through property taxes, which is exactly what they wanted. And if you could get it rented, who's your manager, who's your lender, and what really is your exit? Are you going to sell it for more than $40,001? The answer is no. Not when the comp next to you is for sale for $1. Because you didn't just buy an asset, you bought an obligation. And so for those of you who are handy, there are ways to actually shortcut some of the work. Number one, If you have construction skills and you can do the work yourself, you can certainly squeeze that $40,000 investment down a lot. 2, if you're local and you know the neighborhoods, perhaps that neighborhood was transitioning and you could be ahead of the curve. 3, you don't need to finance anything, so you don't need a lender to pay $1. And 4, you could ride it out for the long term. But the question is, will that money that you're investing make money? And what will your ROI be, or your return on investment, for that long period of time? And how long will it take for the market to actually recover? Now, fast forward 10 years later, some of those $1 homes are worth today somewhere between $70,000 and $100,000. The question is, you would have not been in the money till, let's say, year 5 or 6, and now, of course, you are, which is good. You have to look at the return in those first few years, which is probably not very good. So here's the lesson. The price does not make the deal. The numbers do. The fundamentals do. The location does. The population growth, the migration of people, the jobs, the amount of jobs moving to an area. Every area has jobs moving in and people moving in, or jobs moving out and people moving out. So you have to decide, is your market contracting or is your market expanding? What you got to be careful of is buying into a market that's contracting, or that could mean that prices are going to continue to go down and rents will continue to go down. This is not why you invest in real estate. What you want to invest in is a market that's expanding for all kinds of reasons. So there's actually 3 reasons right now why you should be investing in submarkets versus the big city that most of you are probably completely overlooking. If you want to know what those are, you can download the PDF here that we made for you. I always say, don't chase cheap, chase fundamentals. Is there population growth? Are there jobs? What's the crime rate? Is it safe? Is there a demand for rentals? Can I control the expenses? And most importantly, is there a clear path to a refinance or an exit? If you can't answer all of these things, then you must pass. In Detroit, the answer was no across the board on every single one of those. Even though it was a $1 house, it was a horrible deal. So the most amount of money that I ever made was during this time frame, but Detroit was not the market that I did it in. There was a huge wealth transfer from 2008 to 2012. Now a similar wealth transfer is happening now. So if you want to see how I'm taking advantage of this new wealth transfer, just like we did in 2008, watch this next video.